I mean, look at it. Like, we have an American IP like Archie that's making its first feature film, and it's come to India to do it. I didn't want to go with established actors because they have an image. That was very important for me, and I think it's about time to stop women just fighting with each other, you know. It's time to have your own girls' club a little bit.
The Archies is your fifth feature film, and even though there have been some commonality in themes in the movies that you have done, but I felt this movie is very different in terms of its rhythm, tempo, and was there a thought like you wanted to challenge yourself or do something different with Archies?
No, I think every story has its own rhythm and tempo. And I think you have to let that narrative organically lead how you shoot a film and how you construct it. So that's how I go with.
Yeah, and you mentioned that it has a storybook feel. How much that determine the treatment of the film?
That was very important for me. The storybook, like, I wanted that experience of stepping into another world, because that was my experience when I read the comic. I was actually immersed into that comic, and that's why I loved it so much. It transported me somewhere, and I wanted to be able to do that to a viewer. I mean, at least that's been the attempt, to do that to the viewer. So that was very important, and how you design it, what the world is, also how you shoot it. So it should have the classic old school big frames of the comic, you know, of the old 50s and 60s films, classic shot taking, nothing hectic. It was also a time where time was slow. Everything went slower. People who had little more patience. So I wanted that feeling of just calm, you know, while I did that.
I think that has also seeped into your storytelling, because I felt like you have kept the story languid, like soak in the nostalgia kind of thing. So how challenging was it for you to develop the storyline and plot points? Because Archies, what we have read, it didn't have too many things. Like, it's a very slice of life.
Yeah, it's episodic. So I worked with Aisha Divitri and Reema on the script. I mean, the challenge was to make a narrative, to take this episodic form and to make a 2-hour narrative film, and to keep the nostalgia for people like us that are original Archie readers, but at the same time thematically have something that can resonate with people today. And the film, if they don't know Archie also, can connect to somehow today. That was a challenge.
I would say that without compromising with the tone of the film, you have you are highlighting on a very important subject, which is like the disregard for environment at the cost of development is something is a major concern for most of the aware citizens. So how did that idea come up?
That came up in, like most films that we write, we want to put in something that matters to us. And not just matters to us, but also matters to your audience. And right now, when you talk to Gen Z or you interview them, it's a huge concern for them. And it just fit perfectly, you know, that generation and their concerns, and taking it into this idyllic world, and this nostalgia memory lane, and putting this concern in there. Because if you look at an Archie comic, it's very green. They're very green, the comics, you know. So it worked, it just came together very well.
And one thing I always love in your movies is music. And what is your relationship with music?
I love music. I have no musical talent at all. I can't sing or play any instrument. That's something, I don't know why, but it passed me by. And I love music. I listen to music all the time. I like all kinds of music. And this was something that just had to go to Shankar Ehsaan Loy. They did most of the sound on this. Ankur Tiwari and the Islanders have done, Dot has done some. But it was a very, very fun album to work on. It's one of my favorite parts of movie making is scoring the album and then also doing the background score. It's just great fun.
And talking about what you want to express through your songs, I thought it's a very important song, Life Ki Har Baat Mein Hai Politics, and how his friends gently nudge Archies to take a stand. So if you can tell us a bit about the idea behind that song.
No, the idea behind the song was, here's a character who just doesn't think it's got anything to do with his life, and that's not really true, because everything is decided in a particular way, and you have to be aware. You can't be today growing up and not know anything and not care. You have to care. So that's where it came from.
Another thing which I liked about the movie is the female bonding. Like,
Yes.
it's unlike what we read or
Yes.
how the pop culture has
Yes.
presented the female
Yes.
bonding. So making Veronica and Betty friends,
Yeah.
not competitors.
Yeah, that
or-
was very important for me. That was very important for me, and I think it's about time to stop women just fighting with each other. You know, it's time to have your own girls' club a little bit, and I think that was very important, because I think they are friends, and I think if you have each other's back, life it works out better.
Do you think, like, for years, pop culture, cinema, the typical cinema has contributed to this mentality that women should be pitted against each other. Do you think there could be a wishful course correction by, at least in our stories, changing that kind of mindset?
I mean, I think so. I think there's a lot of awareness right now. I think there's a lot of conversation about it. And what happens is, when you come into a time where, say, men have a particular power, then to be able to have access to that power or to be close to that power, you end up fighting with each other. So you end up being pitted, because if the man favors you, then you also become powerful. So you end up fighting with each other, but that is kind of dissipating now, because women have also come into the workforce. Women have become independent. They're leading their own lives. So I think slowly, it will dissipate and it will change, and of course it will reflect in the art. It will happen. It's bound to.
I was smiling when I have this habit of reading the credits.
Nice.
So when I was reading the credit of Javed Akhtar Saab and Dot sharing credit
Yeah,
for
yeah,
lyrics.
yeah.
So if you can tell us, like, that
there
process,
were certain, because of the tone of it, there were certain songs, like, say, Dishum Dishum or Playing You, which the song is in Hindi, but then you need certain lines in English. And Dot was writing Betty's Diary, so I got her to write those certain lines in English. So then they collaborated, and it's really sweet to see that.
with Tiger Baby, you want to widen your global reach. Recently, Jim Saab was there for one of Indian Express's events, and he mentioned how some years ago, when he had gone to LA for some meetings, and the only thing they had watched at that time is Made in Heaven. So how are you planning to do that? Is there a strategy or
No,
what kind of
I'm
stories?
just planning to keep making stories. I'm just planning to keep making work. I think we are at a stage now where the world is just getting smaller. I mean, look at it. Like, we have an American IP like Archie that's making its first feature film, and it's come to India to do it. You know, I mean, I lucked out that it came to us, but it's come to India and the Hindi film industry to make an international IP. So the world is getting smaller, and you just have to keep working. And if you work well, people will watch it. So it's nice to have stories from here go out.
Any particular genre, like, I know you like drama, but any particular genre or kind of stories that you would be drawn to while
I'm looking actively for a gangster film. Yes, I'm very, very drawn to that genre, and I really want to do one. So I'm looking for a story that works.
If one listens to your interviews, you do use the word lucked out quite often.
Yeah.
But is it always luck, or, you know, it's not, can't be luck by chance? It's like, has to be other factors.
I think it's a mixture of intent. I think if you intend to do something and you focus and you go towards it, things just start falling into place, and that's what I call luck. But actually, it's a mixture of intention and effort, and then things somehow easily align.
One of the questions I wanted to ask you about the casting, how grueling was that process, and if you can just...
It was long. We did extensive auditions, and it was, see, you're casting iconic characters. You know, you're casting characters that people have read and loved and known and in their own head imagined. So it's a bit difficult. You can't just pick anyone. I didn't want to go with established actors because they have an image and they'll come in with their image, and the image should actually be Betty, Archie, Veronica, Dilton, Reggie. You know, the characters have their own image. So you needed actors nobody knew to fill that image, as not the other way around. So it was tough. It was tough, yeah. But it was, I think it worked out.
Yeah, it has actually. But did you not anticipate that there will be talks about three kids from well-known families coming in?
I'm a filmmaker, and my job is to do what's best for the film.
Some quick questions. What are your favorite teen movies?
Oh, my favorite teen movies. I love Breakfast Club. I love Dead Poets Society. I love Pretty in Pink. I love Some Kind of Wonderful. I love Grease. I love, I have a whole list of films that West Side Story. I mean, it's endless. I can go on.
Yeah. And books.
I love Jo Jeeta Wohi Sikandar.
Oh, yes.
Kuch Kuch, Bobby, or like I mentioned them earlier.
And books.
Books?
Yeah.
I think if I have to pick one all-time favorite book that I read when I was very young that I resonate with today, I think it's To Kill a Mockingbird, Harper Lee.
Yeah. And there is a mention of Hardy Boys and Ruskin Bond in the film.
I was a big Enid Blyton fan, but I was a Famous Five reader. Yeah, I was, in my head, I was Georgina and my dog was Timothy, and that was that. Yeah.
Any musicals that you were influenced by?
Huge. I grew up watching musicals. So West Side Story, I loved, but my favorite was Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz, My Fair Lady, Sound of Music was on repeat. Mary Poppins, and all the Hindi films, they were all musicals.
Among the current, there is a lot of international drama and all that. Anything that has caught your attention?
Recently that I'm watching, I mean, honestly, I've been working so much that I've not really gotten into watching, I watched the films, I watched Oppenheimer, I watched all those movies, but I've been watching a lot of documentaries. That's what I've been doing.
My last question to you, you often used to give book recommendations on your Instagram.
Yes.
Anything that you have read and you would like to recommend, and why?
The last one I read was actually really nice, and it's about four Italian sisters set in New York. No, set in Chicago, but New York, called Hello Beautiful. It's very nice. It's a family story.